The Cold War, lasting from 1947 to 1991, was a period marked by tension and rivalry, primarily between the United States and the Soviet Union. It was characterized not by direct military confrontations, but by a persistent ideological conflict that permeated global politics for nearly half a century. The ideological divide was fundamentally between capitalism, championed by the United States and its Western allies, and communism, led by the Soviet Union and its satellite states. The advent of the Cold War can be traced back to the end of World War II, when the alliance between the US and the USSR began to unravel. The Yalta and Potsdam conferences laid the groundwork for the post-war order, which soon gave way to suspicion and distrust. Europe became the battleground for influence, with Germany and its capital Berlin being stark symbols of the ideological divide. In an effort to contain the spread of communism, the United States implemented various strategies, including the Truman Doctrine, which promised aid to countries threatened by Soviet influence, and the Marshall Plan, which aimed to rebuild and stabilize war-torn Europe. The policy of containment aimed to prevent the spread of communism beyond its existing borders. The Cold War era witnessed several crises and confrontations that brought the world perilously close to nuclear conflict. The Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962, perhaps the most infamous standoff, saw the US and the USSR engage in a tense 13-day confrontation over Soviet missiles in Cuba, which ultimately resulted in a peaceful resolution through diplomatic negotiations. Meanwhile, both superpowers engaged in an arms race, developing vast stockpiles of nuclear weapons and advanced military technology. Space also became a new frontier for competition, leading to the space race, highlighted by the USSR's launch of Sputnik and the US's subsequent Apollo moon landing. The ideological struggle extended beyond Europe, influencing conflicts in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Proxy wars in Korea, Vietnam, and Afghanistan illustrated the global reach of the Cold War, as each superpower sought to expand its sphere of influence. The eventual thawing of relations in the late 1980s, coupled with internal reform in the Soviet Union under Mikhail Gorbachev's policies of glasnost and perestroika, set the stage for the Cold War's conclusion. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 symbolized the collapse of communist regimes in Central and Eastern Europe and heralded the end of the Cold War with the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991. The legacy of the Cold War remains present in contemporary international relations, having shaped the political landscape of the modern world.